Welcome to Bonus Content, Lesson 7's Guided Exercises. In this video, we'll walk through exercises covering concepts from the last lesson. Again, there are 3 steps for each exercise. I will present an exercise. 2, you pause the video and try the exercise. 3, I will walk you through the solution. Some exercises are practice, and the others are quizzes. You should try these quizzes to test your knowledge. Let's hop right in. Navigate to alvin/coding101/exercises 7. You'll then be greeted with a page like this one. Go ahead and click on the top left and click on Fork. You'll then have an editable REPL.it just like this one. Start with question 1. Practice. Define a function GT5 that accepts one number argument. If that argument is greater than 5, return yay. Give it a shot. And here's the solution. Define GT5. It takes in one number argument, which we'll call x. If x is greater than 5, return yay. And that's it. We can run this function, and then GT5, and let's pass in 10, and it returns yay. Otherwise, if we pass in 2, nothing happens. Question number 2. This is now a quiz. Define a function reaction that accepts one string argument. If that argument is among us, return yay. Give it a shot. Here's the solution. Define reaction that takes in one string argument. We'll call this string argument game. You can call it whatever you'd like. If game is equal to among us, then return yay. Now, we'll try this code and type in reaction, some other game, tic-tac-toe. Nothing happens, but if we type in among us, then we get yay. Question number 3, this is practice. Define a function dt5o that accepts one number argument. If that argument is greater than 5, return yay, and otherwise, return no. Give it a shot. And here's a solution. Define gt5o that accepts one number argument, which we'll call x. If x is greater than 5, return yay, and else, return no. Run this code, and we can now try GT5o. If we pass in 10, then we'll get yay, and otherwise, if we pass in 2, we'll get no. Question 4. This is a quiz. Define a function reaction that accepts one string argument. If the argument is among us, return yay, otherwise, return no. Very similar to the previous questions that we've seen. Give it a shot. Now, here's a solution. Define reaction that takes in game. If the game is among us, return yay, and otherwise return else, return no. We can now try this function, hit run, type in reaction among us, and that gives us yay. Reaction of tic-tac-toe gives us no. Question 5, practice. Define a function blackjack that accepts a list of numbers. If the sum of the numbers is less than 21, return the sum. Otherwise, return 0. Give it a shot. And here's a solution. Define blackjack that accepts a list of numbers. We'll call this LST. If the sum of the numbers is less than 21, so if sum of the list is less than 21, return the sum. Otherwise, return 0. Hit run. We'll now try blackjack 2020. This should return 0 because it's greater than 21. And now we try 345, and this is less than 21, so we expect 12. Question number 6, this is now a quiz. Define a function cancook that accepts a list of strings. If the list of strings contains lemon, return the list. Otherwise, return an empty list. Here's a hint. If you type in the following code, hello in list, this will return true if the variable list contains the string hello. Give it a shot. And here's a solution. Define a function cancook that accepts a list of strings. If the list of strings contains lemon, return the list. So if lemon in list, return the list. Otherwise, return an empty list, which is just 2 square brackets with no contents. Go ahead and hit run. And now type in cancook, and we'll pass in a list with lemon in it. that will give us the list back, and otherwise, if we pass in a list without lemon in it, then this will give us an empty list. Question number 7. This is a quiz. Define a function laugh that accepts a list of booleans. If any of the booleans are true, return haha. Otherwise, return Here's a hint. The any function will return true if any boolean in the input list is true. Give it a shot. And here's a solution. Define laugh that accepts a list of booleans. If any of the booleans are true, return haha. Otherwise, return Note that this line right here, if any list, could also be if true in list. Right? Very similar to our previous question. So either one of these would work. To test our function, go ahead and run your code. On the right-hand side, type in laugh, and we'll pass in a list of booleans where they're all false. That gives us as expected, and then we'll pass in one true. That gives us haha. Question number 8, practice. Write a while loop that prints every number from 5 to 10. Here we'll type in I is equal to 5, and then we'll write while I is less than 11, we'll print I, and then we'll increment I. Now we can try running this code on the right-hand side. Go ahead and hit run. And there we go. We get all numbers from 5 to 10. Note that you could have also put this, so actually here's an alternative. So I'm going to comment out this code, and here's an alternative solution you could have written. You could have written I is equal to 4, while I is less than 10, I plus equal to 1, print I. Right, so here we'll increment I by 1 before printing. So the first number will be 5, and the last number here will be 10. Right, and just like before, we get the same result. Question number 9. Quiz. Write a while loop that prints every odd number from 5 to 15. Give it a shot. And here's a solution. We can type in I is equal to 5, while I is less than 16. We'll say if I, or here we can actually do something simpler. We can just say print I, and then I plus equals to 2. Right, so that'll give us every other element. The very first element will be 5, and then 7, and so on and so forth. Go ahead and run your code. And here we can see 5 up to 15, all of the odd numbers, as we'd expect. Now, question number 10. Quiz. Write a function print from 2 that accepts 2 number arguments and prints every number from the first argument to the second. For example, print from 2, 3, 6 would print all numbers from 3 to 6. Give it a shot. Here's a solution. Define print from 2, 3, 6, xy. These are 2 variables, not the 2 numbers. So let's go ahead and now use these numbers. We'll say while, let's define an increment, I is equal to x, and while I is less than y plus 1, print I, and then increment I. Let's now try this code. In the very top, hit play to run the code, and type in print from 2, 3, 6, and this will print every number from 3 up to 6. Question 11, practice. Write a while loop that prints every number from 5 to 10 that is not a multiple of 3. Now we can use a while loop while, here we'll start off actually by defining I is equal to 5. And then we'll write I is while I is less than 10, or 11 actually. We will check if I modulo 3 is not a multiple of 3, so we want to check if this is not equal to 0, then we print the value I, and then we increment I by 1. So here we'll check, is 5 a multiple of 3? If 5 modulo 3 is not equal to 0, then it is in fact not a multiple of 3, and we print the number. And then we do this all the way up until we get to 10. Go ahead and run your code, and here we'll see all the numbers that are not a multiple of 3 printed. Question number 12, quiz. Write a while loop that prints every number from 5 to 15 that is not a multiple of 6. You'll notice this is very similar to the previous question. Try it now. And here's a solution. Go ahead and type in I is equal to 5, while I is less than 16. If I modulo 6 is equal to 0, not equal to 0. If this number is not a multiple of 6, then we print the number, and we continue to increment. Go ahead and run this code, and at the very, very bottom, you can actually see that we've now got every number from 5 up to 15 that is not a multiple of 6, so you don't see 12 or 6 here. All right, and once again, we want to check, how are you doing? If this is doable, that's great. This was a very difficult lesson. We combined many of the concepts from before. If this was barely doable, don't worry, keep going, and you'll build familiarity as we go. Number 3, if this wasn't doable, that's completely okay. Watch this video and the previous one again. Each time you rewatch, the concepts will sink in a little bit more. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the discussion section of the class, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. If you feel you've mastered this lesson, try to come up with a few extra questions and solutions. Leave them in the discussion section of the class, and your fellow students will thank you for the extra practice. That's it for Lesson 7's guided exercises.